Yes, good morning friends. Today we are going to see another important topic, that is election commission independence, that has been in the news because of some allegations raised by opposition members that election commission is acting in a partial manner, it is losing its neutrality, right? We need to understand the value of political neutrality, why election commission is losing it. Similarly, the selection committee proposed by government to appoint chief election commissioner and election commissioners, what is wrong with it, what is the way forward, is there any recommendations from the government side in selection committee, what is the viewpoint of Supreme Court of India, right? Similarly, we will see some way forward, some issues, and finally we will take up some question also, a question for answer writing, right? So let us begin the class without delay. First, before we take up what is the issue of the selection committee, how the election commission is losing its neutrality, we need to understand the significance of election commission in the democratic, in any democratic country. In any democratic country, we know India is the world's largest democratic country, but still in any democratic country, election commission has huge role to play. So let us understand, sir. What is the significance? What is the significance, essence of election commission? So please listen. In world history, if you read about world history, there was no right to vote for all people. Right to vote is reserved. It is reserved only for some property people who have some property. The right to vote is reserved in European countries. If you look at French Revolution or Glorious Revolution of Britain or American Revolution, right to vote is reserved. Only some privileged people had this right to vote, right, in 17th century or 18th century. But fortunately, luckily, since India's independence, that is in 1947, we have provided, our founding fathers of Indian Constitution has provided universal franchise, universal or suffrage. It is given to everyone. It is given to everyone, right to vote for all people. No property or no such discrimination is given. Right, so right to vote for all people, provided you are above a particular age. It can be 21 years, it can be 18 years of age, right? So this particular landmark or tremendous or humongous thing, it is incorporated in Indian Constitution in the form of Article 326, right? So Article 326, what is Article 326? It's all about right to vote, right? It's about right to vote, which is a fundamental right and basic human right also, because you have a right to be heard. You have a right to be heard by electing your representatives, right? So Article 326. So to transform this article into reality, a social reality, we need an effective election commission, right? If the election commission is not working transparently or independently or objectively, this Article 326, right to vote for all people, can be compromised. We will see, sir, how this can be compromised. We will see. And second is, please listen, we all know that there is money power, right, in Indian elections. Not only in Indian elections, even in American elections also, there is a money power, there is a muscle power also, right? So in fact, Association of Democratic Reforms clearly says, if a person has a criminal track record, that person's eligibility to get elected as a representative is more. You heard the point, right? They can easily get elected by the people if you have some criminal background. Anyway, let's not get into it. As per ADR, yes, Association of Democratic Reforms, but the point is here, to establish free and fair elections, it's also the responsibility of election commission. The election should be free and fair, right? In other words, the small parties also, not only the ruling party, even opposition parties, even any, because we all know that India is a multi-party democracy. Multi-party democracy means anyone can set up their own party to protect their interests, right? To protect their interests. So the point is here, the job of election commission is to create a level playing field. You got the point, right? Is to create a level playing field so that no ruling government can have some extra privileges. We all know that if a party is in power, right? If a party is in power, definitely it tries to bulldoze the police or law and order. So at the time of elections, you may be knowing, once the elections are announced by the election commission, its dates, announcement is given by the election commission, Model Code of Conduct, the MCC, comes into effect. You know this, right? Model code of conduct comes into effect the moment election commission announces the dates, right? So model code of conduct, anyway, but the point is here, this MCC has no statutory backing. It has no legal backing. You know this, right? No legal backing means it cannot be implemented. It cannot be implemented judicially. It's only some do's and don'ts. It is only some do's and don'ts accepted by all political parties voluntarily. Right? This is some voluntary acceptance. If they do not agree, if they do not conform to MCC, is there a judicial action? Answer is no. There is no judicial action. Election Commission has to take the action. You got the point? Judiciary cannot step in and take action against the party or against the candidates if the MCC is not implemented. Right? Because MCC has no legal backing. Do remember this point? But MCC comes into effect. The essence of MCC is also to create a level playing field so that the ruling party does not take the advantage of its own resources or police or any other things, right? So create a level playing field, free and fair elections, so right to vote. These are all the points to understand the importance of election commission, right? So let us understand the background of election commission, right? What is the background of election? Some knowledge. So please listen. If you look at the Indian Constitution, in Article 324, it's clearly mentioned that it is the responsibility, it is the job of Election Commission to conduct elections, to control elections of Parliament, of state legislatures, similarly the offices of President and Vice President. Right? So it is the job of Election Commission to supervise the elections of all these functionaries, right? Constitutional offices. But please listen carefully here. Local bodies, you know local bodies, right? Panchayats, municipalities, they are not part of Election Commission. I repeat, sir, local bodies like panchayats and municipalities, they are not part of Election Commission because there is a separate state Election Commission, right? Similarly, sir, Election Commission is a multi-member body since 1989. It means before 1989, there is only one election commissioner. But after 1989, how many election commissions were there? Almost some particular after 1990. I don't want to go into the historical background, but do remember ECA is a multi-member body. Now the question is, how many members are there? How many members are there? 3. One chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioners. You got the pointed, one chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioners. You may got the question, are they equal? Right, there are one is CEC and other is ECs. Are they equal? Answer is yes, they are equal. In salary wise, in allowances wise, in other prerequisites, they're all equal. You got the point, right? They're all equal. They're all appointed by president. You got the point, right? They're all appointed by president. You may question, sir, which process is followed in this appointment? We will see. Right, because if president is appointing a particular person means which process, we will see it. But the point is here, CEC and other ECs are equal. If there is a difference of opinion, please listen to this point. If there is a difference of opinion, the matter is decided by majority. Majority means out of 3 people, one is a CEC, other is a 2 ECs, right? In these 3 people, if 2 people accepts, a particular decision, then the decision is implemented. It has to be implemented, it's bound. You got the point. For example, 2 ECs are okay means even though the CECs disagree, the decision is accepted because it's by majority. Out of 3 means 2 has to accept, right? So by majority only, it's not by the whims and fancies of CEC. It's not the discretion of CEC. You got the point, right? Because there is no such concentration of powers. There is no such concentration of powers in the hands of a single person. You know, sir, once power is concentrated in the hands of single person, you know the evil consequences, right? You know the evil consequences. That's why we need always some checks and balances. That's why 3 organs are created, right? Legislature, executive, similar judiciary, so that no concentration of powers in the hands of a single organ. That's why checks and balances are there, safeguards are there. Right, so the job of parliament is to make some supreme law, a lawmaking body, and the job of judiciary is to check whether the law is constitutional or not. Right, anyway, let's not get into it. So let us understand why the election commission is in news. To understand this, sir, please listen. You have to understand the March judgment. This year only, in March, Supreme Court has given a judgment. Please listen. Most of the people are saying the appointment of election commissioners, CEC, it's all opaque, not transparent. You got the point, right? Just now I have told you, President appoints them, right? But who recommends them? Answer is central government. You got the point? Central government, that is prime minister with all his ministers, they appoint. They give some particular names, one or two names, and president appoints. My question is, in this selection committee, right, we all know that election commission conducts elections to the whole country. So that is why in the appointment of CEC and EC, there should be some consensus. You got the point? There should be some consensus. There should not be a shadow of doubt. I repeat, sir, there should not be a shadow of doubt or allegations of corruption or nepotism or neutrality is losing or partial. Such allegations should not be arise, right? So that is why Supreme Court in March this year 2023 said that a selection commission should be formed. A selection committee. In the selection committee, sir, who are the part of the selection committee? According to Supreme Court, number one is Prime Minister, other is a leader of opposition. If leader of opposition is there in Lok Sabha, if leader of opposition is not there in the Lok Sabha, then leader of largest opposition party. Leader of largest opposition party means numerical wise. Numerical wise, leader of largest opposition party, and the third person is Chief Justice of India. Right? These are the three persons, three members of selection committee who decide the appointment of CEC and EC. Right? This is what the judgment of Supreme Court. Now recently, sir, in August on the last month, government came up with a bill. Right? The bill is, please listen, the bill is proposing a selection committee. Right? Selection committee for appointment of CEC and EC. In this selection committee, sir, there is no Chief Justice of India. You got the point that there is no Chief Justice of India. It means Prime Minister is there, leader of opposition is there, and cabinet minister. You got the point that instead of Chief Justice of India, they are replacing Chief Justice with cabinet minister. And many people raised eyebrows. Many people raised eyebrows because there is a completely executive say is there, because the Prime Minister and cabinet minister, they are completely with government. Even though leader of opposition is there, definitely two members are there. You got the point. A majority means two members are there, so easily they can have their say. You got the point. That is why government is saying government is bulldozing or government is doing some tactics to compromise the independence of election commission. This is an allegation raised by opposition parties. We will see, sir, whether the allegations are fair or not, whether they are valid or not, we will see. But the point is here, government has removed the name of Chief Justice of India or replaced the Chief Justice with the cabinet minister. Right? So this is what the recent news and allegations, right? Why the government is doing this, so on, right? So let us understand what are the issues of Election Commission of India. These are all the issues. Let us understand the issues of Election Commission of India. Already the first point is discussed, sir. Please listen. The appointment process is not transparent. The appointment of Chief Election Commissioner or other election commissioners, it is not transparent. Why a particular person is selected, on what basis, on what the qualification is also not given. Got the point? The qualification is not given for the selection of CEC and ECs. It means the central government has huge freedom, discretion, whims and fancies, you can say. So that is why the government or social activists are saying it will compromise or it may compromise the values like political neutrality. Political neutrality means if a person is acting, he should not take the sides of any political party. He should not take the sides of any political party. He should uphold the constitutional values of democracy. Constitutional values of democracy, not this party or that party. Got the point, right? So that means you should be impartial. You should be impartial in conducting elections, right? So this is about appointment process. This is about appointment process controversy, and other process is removal process. How the election commissioner or CEC are removed. If you look at the removal process, sir, please listen. CEC has a security of tenure. It means, please listen, CEC is removed on the same grounds as Judge of Supreme Court. So how Judge of Supreme Court is removed? You know that this is through impeachment. You know this, right? Impeachment of parliamentary, some special majority in both houses, right? You know the grounds like misbehavior, right? There are some grounds are there. So Judge of Supreme Court, on the same grounds only, the Chief Election Commissioner is removed. In other words, please listen, in other words, even though President appoints a CEC, he cannot remove him. Even though President appoints a CEC, he cannot remove CEC. You got the point, right? So that is the process of Judge of Supreme Court process, removal process. That is the impeachment process, right? So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. That is why CEC has security of tenure. Whereas if you look at other ECs, they have no such security of tenure. You got the point? They have no such security of tenure. In other words, other ECs, please listen, other ECs can be removed on the advice of CEC. If the CEC recommends remove this particular election commissioner, then president removes him. You got the point, right? On the recommendations of CEC, president may act to remove EC. Now the question is, why security of tenure is not given to EC? You got the point, right? Why security of tenure is not given to EC? This has been a question. This is not today's question. This has been a question. But this bill, please listen, this bill is addressing this question. The government came up with a bill, right, in August. So this bill is addressing this question. This is a positive point. This is a positive point of the government bill. So the bill is clearly saying now the ECs also, now the election commissioners removal process also is on the same grounds as a judge of Supreme Court. Not only CEC, even ECs also, they are also removed as the same as a judge of Supreme Court. This is one of the positive points of bill, government bill. And similarly, sir, I have also mentioned no qualification is present for CEC and ECs. No qualification. You got the point, right? So if the no qualification is there, right now only bureaucrats are appointed. Most of the times IAS officers. Most of the times IAS officers. Now the question is, why only bureaucrats? You got the point, right? Why only bureaucrats? Why not some social activists? Why not some people who are fighting for democracy? You got the point, right? Some in a non-violent way. There are some people who are doing protests in a peaceful manner, right? Now the point is, why cannot we widen the talent pool to more number of people? Why only bureaucrats, right? That is also an issue. So the issues are, one is an appointment process, other is a removal process, and why only bureaucrats, right? So let us understand, sir, let us understand the way forward. What we need to do in this dilemma. This is a dilemma. This is a controversy, right? So if you look at the way forward, in 1990, please listen, in 1990, Dinesh Goswami Committee, he was a law minister then, Dinesh Goswami Committee recommended a selection committee should be formed, right? A selection committee should be formed for appointment of CEs and ECs. In this selection committee, particularly CEC, not ECs, in this CEC appointment, who are part of selection committee? One is Prime Minister, other is Leader of Opposition, and third is Chief Justice of India. You got the point, right? So Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, and Chief Justice of India are the members to appoint Chief Election Commissioner. This is a government-owned committee. You got the point? This was a government-owned committee in 1990, Dinesh Goswami Committee. And recently also in 2015, Law Commission of India also supported Goswami recommendations. It said that to maintain neutrality of Election Commission of India or to prevent executive interference, all the members of Election Commission, Election Committee, it can be CEC, it can be election commissioners, all should be appointed by the selection committee in which Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and the Chief Justice of India are the part. You got the point, right? This is what the recommendations of Dinesh Goswami as well as Law Commission, right? But the government proposal of selection committee, definitely it goes against to the recommendations. Having said that, please listen, having said that, you cannot comment on the functioning of government proposed selection committee right now. It's too early, right? It's too early. It's only in the bill stage only. Unless we see its functioning, we cannot comment on it, right? If suppose hypothetically, if the selection committee proposed by the government, who are the part of selection committee? Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, Cabinet Minister. That's what the government says. If it follows the due process of law, you know due process of law, Maneka Gandhi case, right? Study it if you don't know. Maneka Gandhi case of due process of law. If this due process of law is followed in appointment of CEC and ECs, then we cannot find fault with it. You got the point, right? If the due process of law is followed, everything is done in a fair manner, then definitely we cannot find fault with it. That is the reason judiciary also is going slow. Let us see how it functions. If the selection committee proposed by the government functions in a well manner, then definitely we cannot find fault with it. That is why it is too early to comment on selection committee proposed by government, even though most of the past committees recommendations are contrary to the proposed selection committee of government, right? So definitely we need electoral reforms. So as a part of electoral reforms, we need a strong election commission, independent election commission, an impartial election commission, so that the people's trust and credibility is always restored. What the point, right? So democracy is always goes on only when the people trust it. When the people feel that our EVMs are tampered, suppose, or booth capturing. Earlier it was booth capturing, now it is, people are saying it is tampering, our electronic voting machines are tampered, right? Such type of misgivings should not be there. So that is the reason awareness campaigns are always held by election commission to bring in some enlightenment in people, right? So this is about way forward. And today's question, sir, election commission is the linchpin, right? It plays a key role. Linchpin means key role in promoting trust and credibility on the system of democracy. You got the point, right? How the election commission promotes trust and credibility, what are the steps of constitution, think about it, how it promotes trust and credibility. Discuss means there are some challenges also. Just now we have discussed the challenges, how it promotes trust and credibility. You know, every year it conducts some elections, and you know it's a very tough task to conduct elections for a country like India, right? So let us wind up the class, but do comment and ask all the questions, and do subscribe and share the video so that I can bring more and more such videos. Next class we will see finance commission and fiscal federalism. So do subscribe and share the video, and do comment so that I can resolve your doubts, right?